Hi all, in this video we'll try to understand Mars. So what is Mars in Vedic astrology? Mars is anger, courage, also the force. Even the sexual drive a person has is associated to Mars. If a person's Mars is debilitated, then it is believed that the person's sexual drive is abnormal or it's not in a good condition. Even if Mars is retrograde, that means the person's sexual drive is less or the courage is less, or even his anger is not so good, right? So Mars is also the significator of marriage in a female chart. In a male's chart, significator of marriage is Venus. In a female's chart, significator of marriage is always Mars. And in a female's chart, of course, you see Jupiter as the first point of contact for marriage, and second point of contact is Mars. That is fine, but the significator is always Mars in a female chart. Now, Mars is also related to anger, right? So we'll try to understand what if Mars is present in different houses in Vedic astrology. If Mars is present in first house, it's very good. It is treated as a very good sign because first house is called as the ascendant or Lagna house. So without any malefic aspect, means if Mars is present in the first house without the aspect of Saturn or any bad house lord. Bad houses are 6, 8, 12. These three are the bad houses. So if any bad house lord is seeing your ascendant, that's not at all a good thing. Bad house lord, let us say in this particular picture, the ascendant or the first house is Gemini. Who is watching Gemini? Mercury and Sun. And Mercury is the lord of the first house, that is good. And he is also the lord of fourth house. It's fine because 1, 4, 7, 10, 5, 9. These are the good houses in Vedic astrology. 1, 4, 7, 10 are called as the Kendra houses. 5, 9 are the train houses. And always these are the best houses in Vedic astrology, and the lords of those houses are good, and wherever they are placed, they are going to give you some beneficial results. 6, 8, 12 are the bad houses, and whenever the lords of bad houses sits, wherever they sit, they are going to destroy those houses. So here, let us see the 6th house lord. Here Scorpio is the 6th house, right? And its lord is Mars, and where he is sitting? He is sitting in the 10th house. So he is destroying that 10th house. 10th house is house of profession. So Mars is directly going there and destroying that. And what about Moon? Moon is the lord of second house. Second house is a benefic house. It's house of finance, voice, speech, throat, and also the ancestral property, house of finance, house of income. So it's at least a bit better one. So second house lord is sitting in the moon. Second house lord moon is sitting in the 10th house. At least he is going to give you some benefic results. And also you need to check what is this moon here. This moon is a diminishing moon or increasing moon. It's a growing moon or, right? So you can see when moon is growing, finally it will reach the state of Paurnami, the full moon, and then again it will go down. So if this moon is a kind of increasing moon, then he is auspicious. If it is a decreasing moon, even if it is decreasing, during the first initial days of decrement, at least the moon's energy is good, right? So some people consider even if it is diminishing, in the initial phase it is good, because initial phase it has at least some energy. So that kind of moon is beneficial, right? In the increasing phase, even though it is increasing in the days initial days, it is not having much energy, right? Only in the final days of increment it is going to attain the full stage, right? So before this full moon, maybe before 5 to 6 days of full moon, and or also after 5 to 6 days of full moon, the moon has some energy associated with it, so that kind of moon is at least auspicious, right? Some people think it's growing moon or diminishing moon, but that is not a very good prediction. The better prediction is having some moon's energy, at least whether it is decreasing or increasing, it doesn't matter. At least if it has some kind of energy, then it is good. So that kind of moon, if so this moon is associated with finances. So if this kind of moon is it's a means if it has some kind of energy at least, so that moon is present in the 10th house, that is the house of profession, then it is good. But the house is already destroyed by Mars, the lord of 6th house. So already some points, the strength is gone because of the presence of the 6th house lord here. And Mars is not only going to be the 6th house lord here, but also the 11th house lord. So 11th house is associated with house of gains and also house of elder siblings. 3rd house is house of younger siblings, whereas 11th house is house of elder siblings. So 11th house is house of gains. So the lord of house of gains is sitting in the 10th house is good. So here there are 3 aspects working. The 11th house lord and 6th house lord both are same, that is Mars sitting in the 10th house. So because Mars has happened to be the 6th house lord, it reduced some strength there, but as 11th house lord, Mars is actually giving some strength there, right? So 50-50, Mars is giving 50-50 to 10th house. And what about the moon here? Moon it's a diminishing moon or increasing moon. So also is this moon, so when Paurnami happened in December 23, and if you observe calendar, so it is now increasing on 30th December. We have that so 30th December is Margashira Purnima, so it is a Purnima. So currently this particular moon is increasing, right? On 14th Amavasya happened, of course 14th December the solar eclipse happened. That was the Amavasya day, it's no moon day. After that it started increasing. Now it has at least some life, some energy associated with it. The 23rd December, on 24th it will increase even more, right? On 26th even more, and right like that on 30th it will become full moon, right? It has more energy associated with it. Now this moon is at least better, it is good, because it is not a no moon sign. It has some energy associated with it. The 23rd, see in the picture also you can observe the 9 Margashira Shukla Navami. So see how much whiteness is present, more than 50% whiteness is present. So it is a good moon here, right? So this kind of moon is present in the 10th house, it's a good sign here. So obviously the profession, the energy related to this profession house is now saved, it is good. So 50% strength given by Mars, 50% positive strength given by Mars, and 50% negative strength given by Mars is that energy is here. And 100% best results this moon is giving there in the profession. And who is the lord of this 10th house? 10th house lord is Jupiter, and he is sitting in the 8th house. So it is again a bad thing. This Jupiter is reducing the 10th house strength. So definitely the person born during means at this point of time with this particular kundli has some mixed results in the professional life. So Jupiter happened to be the 10th house lord, but he is directly sitting in the 8th house. 8th house is always bad. 6, 8, 12, these three houses are the worst houses of any birth chart. So the lords of those uh, means whoever is going and sitting in those houses, they are going to lose their nature. They are going to lose their uh, benefits. It's something like you have 1 crore rupees in your pocket and you're directly uh, sitting in a big black hole where your 1 crore rupees are just removed from you, means from is taken from you, right? So such kind of effect it's going to give. So Jupiter is giving a bad effect here, and Mars is giving 50% good and 50% bad. Moon is giving 100% good. So during the moon dasha, he is going to experience very good results in his professional life, and in Jupiter mahadasha or antardasha, he is going to experience full problems in his professional life. And during Mars mahadasha, he is going to experience the 6th house and 11th house effects. The 6th house is related to the house of diseases and also debts and enemies. So during Mars Mahadasha, and also the as 11th house lord, he is going to give you some gains. So during Mars Mahadasha or Antardasha is going to experience some kind of gains in professional life, but at the same time he has some kind of enemies. He is going to increase the number of enemies in the professional life, as well as he is going to um, experience some kind of debts related to the professional life. Also diseases, he may fall ill during that Mars dasha because of overwork, right? He may fall ill. So this kind of predictions we can make here. And now, so let's try to understand about Mars more. So if Mars is situated in angle houses or train houses, and even in the 11th or 2nd house from the ascendant, and it has a conjunction of some benefic planets, conjunction or association means with aspect also. So here this particular Mars is also seen by the Saturn, right? Saturn has a third aspect. Saturn has 3 aspects. One is the third aspect, second one is 7th, and another one is 10th. 3, 7, 10. So Saturn looks or aspects the houses as 3, 7, 10 from wherever it sits. So here Saturn aspects a 10th house, also the 2nd house, and 5th house. So the Saturn is aspecting 3 houses. So because of the Saturn aspect, what is Saturn here? Saturn is the lord of 8th house and 9th house. Saturn itself is a bit malefic, and it's happened to be the lord of 8th house, so it's very bad here. At least it has some positivity associated with it because it is the lord of 9th house also. So this particular Saturn is very bad, and this Saturn is watching Mars. So it's a very bad thing, worst thing, right? Because the bad Saturn is watching Mars here. Now let's try to see some other horoscope. So whenever Mars is sitting in 1, 4, 7, 10 houses, it's good. Even 5, 9 it's good. 2, 11 also it's good, right? So here Mars is present in the 4th house. This is the angle house. So here ascendant happened to be Sagittarius, the Dhanur Lagna. So as Mars is sitting in the 4th house, it's good at least. And it does not have any malefic, it has a malefic aspect here. Saturn is watching it because Saturn has 3 aspects we discussed, right? The 3, 7, 10. So as Mars is sitting in the third house from Saturn, so it's a bit you can say it's a bit bad. So this Mars is not a complete benefic Mars, because of that Saturn aspect. The strength of Mars is reduced here, right? So whenever Mars is sitting in 1 4 7 10 5 comma 9, any of these houses, even 2 comma 11, is going to be very auspicious, provided there is no bad aspect of a bad planet. There's no bad aspect, and also there should not be any bad conjunction. If Saturn is coming and joining Mars, Saturn itself is bad, and if it is happen to be the lord of other bad houses, here Saturn is the lord of second and third house, so at least this Saturn is a bit positive, right? Saturn itself is a bit malefic, but here it's the second house lord and the third house lord, so at least it is a bit something like 70% positive Saturn here, and this Saturn is watching. And what about the Saturn state? Retrograde Saturn is worst Saturn. Here Saturn is retrograding. So previously we thought this Saturn is the lord of second and third house here, because Saturn is the lord of Capricorn and Aquarius, right? We know this one. So as Saturn is the lord of second and third houses, it is at least good, we thought, but it's retrograde. So retrograde Saturn is the worst Saturn. It is going to give you very bad results always. So whenever Saturn, Mars, Venus are in retrograde state, they are very bad, worst, right? And even Jupiter and Mercury, they are retrograde, they are good only. So don't worry in your birth chart if Jupiter or Mercury is in retrograde status. Don't worry, because they are good only, right? Even they are retrograde, even though they are in retrograde status, they are good only, okay? But Mars, Venus and Saturn, if they are in retrograde status, they are very bad, worst. Retrograde Saturn is worst. Let us say retrograde Saturn is sitting in your fourth house. Fourth house is what? Your house of domestic life. Your domestic life is completely destroyed there, completely, without any exception, right? So you feel very, it will give you lot of grief, lot of sorrow in your domestic life. It's pathetic, really pathetic. If retrograde Saturn is sitting in your fourth house, that is going to be the worst thing happen to anyone in this the history of humanity, you can say. Yeah, it's very worst, that much worst. Let us say retrograde Saturn is sitting in your 10th house, the house of profession. So you cannot show me anything worse than that in the world, right? So if retrograde Saturn is sitting in your 10th house, so your professional life is gone completely. At least if some Jupiter is, a good Jupiter is looking at your 10th house, at least you're going to be saved. Or at least a beautiful Venus is aspecting your 10th house, you can have some good things. But if no one is aspecting your 10th house, let us say, and the retrograde Saturn is coming and sitting directly in your 10th house, that's going to be the worst thing happen to your professional life. You can never get success, any kind of success in your professional life, if retrograde Saturn is present in your 10th house and no beautiful or no good planet is aspecting your 10th house. Gone completely. You need to follow some remedies for that, right? So if you follow some remedies, you can give some energy, you can pump up your retrograde Saturn. So if Saturn is given some energy, if you're pleasing Saturn, then Saturn would become positive for you. You have to do some remedies, then only Saturn will become, the retrograde Saturn will become positive for you, otherwise gone, right? So now Mars, we're talking about Mars. So Mars is situated in angles, trines, the 11th or 2nd house, it's good, and there should not be any malefic aspect, of course. And also it should not have any conjunction with a bad planet. Also there is another concept called as combustion. Combustion is nothing but conjunction with sun. Whenever a planet is in conjunction with sun, it loses its identity. Exception is given only to Mercury and Venus. Let us say your Mars is uh, sitting with sun, means conjunction with sun, yuti, right? People call it as yuti. Okay, the conjunction means both the planets are sitting together in the same house, and you need to see the distance between the planets. Now you want to know what is distance between the planets. Here in the first house, Jupiter and Ketu are sitting, right? So what is the degree here? 27 degree. So that means every sign in Vedic astrology consists of 30 degrees. So Jupiter traveled 27 degree of this particular Sagittarius. So Jupiter almost experienced the complete Sagittarius here, right? And what about Ketu? Ketu is at 3 degrees Sagittarius, means Ketu experienced only 3 degrees of that whole Sagittarius. So Ketu is at the initial stage of Sagittarius, whereas Jupiter almost traveled 27 degree. So it is at the end of Sagittarius, whereas Ketu is at the beginning of Sagittarius. There is a difference of 24 degree between these two, because Jupiter is at 27 and Ketu is at 3. So there is a distance of 24 degree between them. So there is a lot of distance. So the energies are not interfering with each other, at least, right? But if let us say your Sun and Mars are sitting together very closely, Sun is the distance between Sun and Mars is only 1 degree. Let us say that is the worst thing. Means your Mars is completely gone there. Combustion, that is called as combustion. Whenever a planet is sitting with sun, that is undergoing through a process called combustion. Means it is losing its identity. Means even though if Mars is present, it means that it is something like it's not present at all. That is the effect of sun. Exception is given only to Mercury and Venus, because Mercury is related to communication, speech, intelligence, logical thinking, such kind of stuff. Mercury is Saumya. It's very soft, and it's also related to your buddhi, right? So your intelligence, especially for competitive exams, Mercury is very good. If your Mercury is very good, you will win in competitive exams. You will get very good ranks. If your Mercury is bad, then you don't get. Your buddhi itself is lost there, right? You don't have much logical thinking if your Mercury is bad. So when Mercury is sitting with Sun, and let us say the distance between them is less than 5 degree or less than 7 degree at least, okay, so it is good only, because that's called as a Buddhaditya yoga. Means it's good for if these two are in conjunction, close conjunction. The conjunction must be less than 7 degree. You cannot say Sun and Mercury are at a distance of 20 degrees, so I have Buddhaditya yoga. You cannot say that. They must be closely conjunct. Then what is Buddhaditya yoga? The person can become a very good speaker and well versed. He might be having a lot of knowledge. So he would become a very great speaker also, right? Very great teacher or great professor, whatever you can say. There's a Buddhaditya yoga he has. And also you cannot say, let us say in your 8th house, Sun and Mercury are meeting. 8th house is a bad house. So in a bad place, even though that yoga is there, means Sun and Mercury are at a distance of less than 7 degree, you cannot say the yoga is formed, because that is your 8th house, a bad house, worst house. In worst house, even though something good is happening, that's treated as worst only. So if the Sun and Mercury conjunction is happening in your 6th, 8th or 12th house, the yoga is gone completely. And also this Sun and Mercury, right? Let us say the Sun Mercury conjunction is happening in Aries, right? Then it is very good. And that must be your 1, 4, 7, 10. The first house, 4th house, 7th house, 10th house. These are the Kendra houses. So when Buddhaditya Yoga is prominent, if it has some strength, so let us say the Sun and Mercury conjunction is happening in the fourth house of your birth chart. That's a very beautiful thing, right? Because fourth house is a good house, and Sun and Mercury are also, they are meeting in a good place, right? And the distance is also less than 7 degree. When they have a close conjunction, then only this yoga forms. If the distance between them is very large, you cannot say it's a good yoga. Okay, now the distance is very less, so you can say it's a good yoga. Fine. Now what happens? It is meeting in fourth house, but someone like Saturn is watching that Sun and Mercury conjunction. Again, it's a bit lost, right? Even though the person would become a great speaker, at the same time, the Saturn is reducing its strength, reducing this particular Sun Mercury conjunction strength. Or as Saturn is malefic in nature, what is Saturn generally? Saturn is labor. You see the labor, the coolies, the hard work associated, the broomstick, right? The broomstick is Saturn. The chappal means the slippers you have, right? That is also associated with Saturn. So Saturn has some malefic nature associated with it. So as Saturn is watching your Buddhaditya Yoga, your Buddhaditya Yoga is happening in the fourth house, right? I'm explaining with an example. So Sun Mercury conjunction in Aries, and that is also your fourth house. Means Aries in the sense what? You are a Capricorn ascendant guy, right? Capricorn ascendant, right? So in there, Sun Mercury are meeting. Very nice. That's the fourth house. Very beautiful. But Saturn is watching suddenly. Let us say Saturn is sitting in Libra and watching your Buddhaditya Yoga. So what happens? You have Buddhaditya Yoga, but the strength is reduced now because of Saturn. And also, as Saturn is watching your the Buddhaditya Yoga, even though you are a great speaker, you may talk some filthy language also, very bad words also you can talk, because Saturn is giving its energy to you, right? It's just giving, catch, take my energy. Saturn is saying that. So you may have that kind of bad word speaking ability also, right? You often speak very filthy language because Saturn is watching. If Saturn is not watching, and Sun Mercury in fourth house in Aries, what a beautiful thing, right? And also, let us say this Sun and Mercury are meeting in Virgo. In Virgo, Mercury is exalted, right? And in Aries, why I was taking the example of Aries, because because in Aries, Sun is exalted. So in Virgo, say Mercury is exalted, Sun and Mercury conjunction happening in Virgo, and no Sun, of course, Sun and Moon never retrograde, right? Rahu and Ketu always retrograde. Sun and Moon can never retrograde. And Mercury is also, let us say, it's not, even though Mercury is retrograde, this is also good. But let us say, let us discuss only the positive things here. Sun and Mercury are meeting in Virgo. And let us say you are a Gemini ascendant. So for Gemini ascendant, Virgo is the fourth house. So in the fourth house, Sun and Mercury are meeting in the Virgo, very beautiful place for Mercury. Mercury is actually exalted in Virgo, and Sun is also meeting there with Mercury, and the distance between them is less than 7 degrees. So there is a Buddhaditya Yoga formed, and no malefic planet is aspecting. Someone like Rahu or Saturn is not aspecting your Sun Mercury conjunction. Then what happens? Very good, right? So you will have that Buddhaditya Yoga. So that is the Buddhaditya Yoga. Now let's come to this Mars stuff. So what is this particular? So whenever Mars is situated in good houses like 1, 4, 7, 10 and 5, 9, the auspicious houses, because 1, 4, 7, 10 are the Kendra houses, 5, 9 are the train houses, right? And even Mars is present in 2, 11, right? And there is no bad aspect on them. There is no bad conjunction with Mars. And also Sun is not conjoining with Mars. Sun is also not conjoining, because Sun is going to combust, right? So Sun is also not coming there. So that kind of Mars is very powerful. And also Mars is not retrograde. Mars is not in an enemy's house. Mars is not not in combustion. That kind of Mars is very benefic. So in astrology, you always check the strength of a planet. Let us say Mars is present somewhere in Capricorn. In Capricorn, what happens to Mars? Mars is exalted in Capricorn, right? Exaltation means feeling very happy. It's very good, very great. It feels very great. So whenever a planet feels very great, it is going to give you lot of good results. So Mars is present in Capricorn, and Capricorn happened to be your, let us say, the ninth house. Ninth house is the lucky house. Means uh, Capricorn ninth house means what? You're of Taurus ascendant, right? Let us say Taurus ascendant. So Capricorn is your ninth house, the Bhagyasthana, the lucky house. Mars is also present there. Yes, so Mars is present there. Mars is exalted. So what a beautiful thing, the great thing, right? Even though it's a great thing, let us say it is in retrograde status. Let us say if it is in retrograde status, then the strength is gone. So strength of a yoga, you should always consider what is the strength of that particular planetary position. Even though Mars is present in Capricorn, it is exalted. It is, let us say, it's not retrograde. It is in forward motion only. But somewhere a bad Saturn, a retrograde Saturn is watching your Mars. Gone. The strength of your Mars presence in Capricorn is somewhat reduced. Right? So this way you can analyze any horoscope. So what we are trying to understand here, whenever Mars is present in 1, 4, 7, 10, 5, 9, 11, 2, any of these houses without any malefic aspects, and such kind of Mars is very good. So what Mars is associated with? Mars is associated with the energy, action, right? Mars is action, the energy, the courage, the sexual drive, the anger. Mars is also related to the real estate, the properties you have, the lands you have, the vehicles you have. All these things are related to Mars, right? So Mars is a very good thing for all this real estate and wealth and property, vehicles. So if your Mars is very good, you have lot of abundance in your house. It's a good thing. So even if Mars is exalted in your birth planet without any malefic thing, very great for you, right? You can have a mansion, you can have lands, whatever the great things you can get in your life. Even there is a concept called as Navamsha. Navamsha is the D9 chart. D9 chart, right? So they divide every sign into 9 parts. So generally, even though you don't know the concept of Navamsha, directly you can go to Navamsha here. It will show you the chart. That is the recent softwares. Every software is giving you D9 chart. You can prefer this. What is this one? This particular app is Drik Panchang app. Even you can prefer Astrosage also. Astrosage is also a very good app. You can take any app, check the Navamsha. Here in the Navamsha, you need to check the Navamsha also. Sometimes what happens in the Lagna chart, Mars is very comfortable, very good. But in the Navamsha chart, Mars is not good. Let us say Mars is not in a good position. Not in a good position in the sense, let us say Mars is in Cancer. In Cancer, Mars is debilitated, whereas in Capricorn it is exalted. And Aries and Scorpio are Mars' own houses. Maybe in Lagna chart, Mars is very good and associated with some good planets, but in the Navamsha it's debilitated or its effect is not good. Then you can understand the strength of Mars is reduced there. Strength of Mars means for every planet there's some, for every yoga there is a strength. So the strength is reduced. Navamsha generally people say as the time grows, as your age increases, then you can experience the Navamsha effects. Even after your marriage, people say after your marriage is what? As your age grows, right? So that is how it actually works, right? So check the strength of your Mars in your horoscope. So let us say directly, now let's talk about something bad. Your Mars is present in 8th house or 12th house. Worst, gone, right? 8th house and 12th house are the bad houses. But at the same time, let us say your Mars is the Lord of 6th house and sitting in the 12th house. Good one only. Because whenever a bad house Lord is sitting in another bad house, it's going to be auspicious. Right? It's going to be auspicious. Fine. So even Mars is your 8th house Lord sitting in 12th house. Good. All the bad effects of your 8th house are completely gone. 8th house is what? House of death. House of longevity. Right? 8th house is house of sudden events, accidents, road accidents, all those things related to 8th house only. So, if your 8th lord is sitting in 12th house, all the bad effects of 8th house are gone. Right? So, that is how you can understand a birth chart. Now, your Mars is happen to be something like the 4th lord. 4th is what? 4th is related to 4th house is related to the domestic life, your mother, right? The family life, 4th house, right? Also related to your real estate, all that stuff is also associated with 4th house. If 4th lord is going and sitting in 8th house, suddenly you may experience something bad related to your 4th house, your family disturbances, sudden disturbances. Also the suddenly you may lose your vehicles, because 4th house is also related to vehicles, real estate, all the stuff. As 4th house lord, Mars is good, but he is directly sitting in the 8th house. So suddenly you may experience bad things associated with this mother, family, domestic life, vehicles, real estate, land, all this stuff. 4th house is related to that one, right? That's why. Yeah. So always understand, whenever a bad house lord is sitting in another bad house, that is a good thing. But when a good house lord, your 4th house is a good house. What are the good houses in Vedic astrology? 1, 4, 7, 10, 5, 9 are the good houses, the most beneficial houses. And the lords of these houses must not sit in bad houses like 6, 8, 12, right? So if they do not sit, then you are saved, right? That is how you can understand Mars. So not only Mars, these rules are applicable for anything. So whenever a planet has lot of strength, it is going to give you very beautiful and benefic results during its dasha and antardasha. So there is a system called as Vimshottari dasha. So this one here you can just see dasha, right? Dasha is going to give you. I observed and compared to this particular you can just see Astrosage app also. There also you can find the dasha and the Mahadasha and Antardasha systems. There also you can understand, right? So during its dasha and antardasha, Mars is going to give very beautiful results if it is well placed. It is applicable to any planet. Even Saturn is very good in your let us say in your horoscope. During its dasha and antardasha, Saturn is going to give a lot of good things. Even Saturn can give you government job. Saturn is related to the land, agriculture. Saturn is very good in that mining stuff. Even sometimes for politics also Saturn is very good. Saturn is well placed during its dasha and antadasha. It can make you politician, a public servant, can give you a lot of lands, right? Those many things it will give, right? So that is the that's how you can analyze. And now, what if Mars, the position of Mars is in second or seventh house? So we discussed if Mars is present in 1, 4, 7, 10, 5 comma 9, it is good. But at the same time, in the seventh house, even though it gives you some good results, right? Good results. We will talk about that Mangal dosha or Manglik dosha in a minute, because that is the dosha people check for marriages. If a person has a Manglik dosha, he has to get married to another Manglik dosha person only, right? Talk about that. That whenever Mars is present in second or seventh house, it produces body sickness and mental agony also. So the person may feel sick. Mars is present in second or seventh house. So let us say you want to neutralize this kind of effect. You need to worship Lord Shiva. Shiva is Rudra, right? So he's related to Mars, right? Even the donation of bull, right, is going to nullify the effect. So you can chant Lord Shiva mantras. You can do abhishekam to Lord Shiva, right? So that you will get out of the bad results of your Mars placement in second or seventh house. Mars in seventh is good in some manner, in some aspects also, because Mars in seventh, even though it's a Mangal dosha, we'll talk about Mangal dosha in a minute. What is it? So, but even though Mars in seventh house is going to give you some kind of properties, lands, whatever, but at the same time it is going to give some sickness to your body, even in the second house. So Mars in the second and seventh house has some bad effect associated with it. That is body sickness and mental agony, right? Other than that, in the seventh house, Mars is going to give you some land, some properties, all that stuff, right? So whenever Mars is placed in 1, 4, 7, 10, 5, 9, 2, 11 houses, it's very good. And only it is very good only if there is no malefic aspect. But there is a drawback whenever Mars is in your second or seventh house. Only drawback is it's going to give you some kind of body weakness, mental agony, only that one. In order to avoid that one, you can pray Lord Shiva. You can donate a bull, and also you can do abhishekam to Lord Shiva every Monday, early morning, right? It's a very good thing, right? But whenever Mars is present in 6, 8, 12, it's not so auspicious, it's bad. 6, 8, 12 is bad. Okay. So this is the Mars. This is about Mars, right? And let's talk about Mangal dosha in a minute. So whenever Mars is occupying 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 12, any of these houses, it's called as Manglik dosha. What are the houses? 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 12. So if Mars is present in first house, what happens with this? With its seventh aspect, it is going to aspect the seventh house, right? So seventh house is related to house of marriage. So Mars, whenever Mars is coming and contacting that particular seventh house matters, it's not a good thing. That's what people understand. Mars is not good for marriage related stuff, the relationship related stuff, because of its more activity or more anger or more courage, all these things. Mars is a kind of military general, right? And this kind of marriages, all these things are auspicious, and generally people don't expect this kind of military generals and all those courageous people, the kind of energy they don't want in this marriage related activities. So whenever Mars is present in 1 2 4 7 8 12, it's called as Manglik dosha. And when a person has Manglik dosha, he has to marry another Manglik person. So in the fourth house also, because in fourth house if Mars is present, fourth house is domestic life. Why Mars is needed there? Mars is actually anger, right? Anger and courage. And family life, you should be very cool and calm. Then only things work out. If you're very angry or courageous in family matters, then things may go wrong. So that's why in Mars is going and sitting in fourth house is not so. Of course, it's going to give you the lands and properties, because fourth house is your Kendra house, right? So that is there. Those positive things are always present. I'm telling you, when Mars is sitting in the first house, the person itself is very courageous and angry, right? The person is ferocious. So he gets a lot of lands and properties, because whenever Mars is sitting in 1 4 7 10 5 comma 9 2 comma 11, it is good for lands and property stuff. But what about marriages and the relationships, the 1 2 4 7 8 12, if Mars is present there, it's not good. 12th also, 12th is house of bed pleasures, right? So some people may say Mars, presence of Mars there is related to more it may give you more sexual drive, so you may need to marry the same person having more sexual drive, so that the two can match better, right? So that is the thing, right? So seventh house also, seventh house is house of marriage. In marriage you don't expect this kind of eighth house is the sudden events. Suddenly a person is getting anger, all that stuff is not correct, right? And second house is good, house of finance and all those things. But second house is also treated as it's related to family also. Second, whenever family matters come, people check the second house and fourth house as well. So second house is the house of finance and family, the speech, right? So Mars sitting there in the second house is going to give you a rough speech. Uh, in relationship, this kind of rough speech is not good, right? In the family matters also. That's why uh, the presence of Mars in second house, even though it's good for your finance, it's not good for your fiance. If your fiance is also a rough speaker, both of you can enjoy together. But if the other person is not Manglik, he cannot tolerate you, right? So that's the problem. So whenever Mars is present in 1 2 4 7 8 12, right, your Manglik. And if Mars alone is sitting in 1 2 4 7 8 12, you're completely full Manglik. Let us say in your fourth house, in addition to Mars, in not only in fourth house, in any of these houses, 1 2 4 7 8 12, in any of these houses, with Mars, if some other planet is also sitting, and at least the Manglik is, right, or you're half Manglik or low Manglik, whatever you can say, right? But you're Manglik basically, if 1 2 4 7 8 12 is occupied by Mars. So that is about Mars. So what is the juice here? The final statement. Whenever Mars is present in 1 4 7 10 5 comma 9 2 comma 11, you will gain lands, properties, vehicles, all the stuff, if and only if there is no malefic aspect on this particular Mars. And even though Mars presence in 2,7 is giving you a lot of lands and properties, the same time it's going to give you body sickness and mental agony. For that, so the remedy is praying Lord Shiva, doing abhishekam to Lord Shiva. And what is Mangal Dosh? Mangal Dosh is nothing but the presence of Mars in 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 12. Mars is present in any of these houses. Of course, it is going to give you a lot of land and property, except that 8th house, because 8th house is a bad house. So if Mars is present in your 8th house, you are Manglik, and at the same time you don't gain that lands and properties also. Very pathetic, right? Mars presence in 8th house, not at all good. And whenever Mars is present in 8 or 12th house, what happens, that for that particular person, especially in the Mahadasha and Antardasha of Mars, the person may experience urinary related diseases, danger of injuries, theft, snake bite, even some court cases. They may also, the person may experience that one also. Loss of wealth and loss of property also expected. Mars is present in 8th house. It's a very bad thing, man. So you need to do some remedies for Mars in that case. Mars mantra is one of the remedies. Right? So Mars presence in 8th, 12th is not good. Okay. Even Mars is present in 8th, 12th, the person may experience these things: urinary related diseases, the danger of injuries, right? All these things, some bad things. So he has to do remedies for Mars. Especially this Mars is going to show you its effect in the Mahadasha and Antardasha. It's Mahadasha and Antardasha. So that is it. So Mars presence in 6, 8, 12 is not encourageable. 6th also, it is a bit, understand, 6th house is worst, 8th house is more worst, and 12th is much more worst than 6 and 8. The worstness increases. At the 12th house, the only beautiful thing in 12th house is the house of bed pleasures, right? So now you can understand the strength, right? Strength of this particular Mars presence in various houses. Mars is present, some people may ask, Mars is present in my 3rd house. 3rd house is house of courage. It's okay, good for you. Don't expect a lot of land and properties, because it's not a Kendra house or train house. Mars presence in 1, 4, 7, 10, 5, 9, 2, 11. Only this will give you some lands and properties. 8, 12 is bad. 12th is maybe good for some pleasures, but it's Manglik. And bad also, because of that urinary disorders, all those losing of property, all that stuff. It's bad. 8th also, it's bad. 6th is it is bad to an extent, right? Because 6th house is house of diseases, enemies, debts. Mars presence there is also not good. 3rd is okay, right? So Mars is only good in 1, 4, 7, 10, 5, 9, 2, 11. 2, 7 have some problems, body sickness and mental agony. 2, 7. And whenever Mars is present in 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 12, it's going to give you Manglik dosha. 8th and 12th is very bad, man. You have to take care. And especially that 8th one, right? Yeah. So this is how you can understand. So when Mars is present in, so I will tell you house by house, right? Mars is present in your first house without any malefic aspect. It is good for your lands and properties gaining, but not good for marriage because you have a lot of more sexual drive or more courageous, right, in nature, right, that kind of stuff. So marry another Manglik person. Okay, that is for first house. What about Mars in second house? Mars in second house is good for lands, properties, vehicles. You will gain all that stuff. Okay, but it will give you body sickness and mental agony. So for that, you have to do Rudrabhishekam. You have to praise, you have to pray Lord Shiva. Okay, done. Third house. So third house is house of courage and anger, house of anger siblings. Mars in third is okay, good, fine, right? It does not ensure you any kind of lands and properties. At least you will be courageous and it's okay, good for you, right? And fourth house, Mars is present in fourth house. It will give you a lot of lands, properties, whatever. That's good, right? Lot of in the sense, so the houses and properties, vehicles, those things you will gain. And it's obviously it's Manglik in nature, right? Fourth one, Manglik. Marry another Manglik. Good. Fifth house, very good. Lands and properties, everything you will gain. Very good, excellent. Fifth house is very excellent. Sixth house, not good, right? So take care of your lands and properties. Do remedies for Mars. Chant Mars mantra every day. Okay. Seventh house. Of course, it will give you lands and properties, but it's Manglik. Marry another Manglik. Also, you have that body sickness and mental agony. Do Rudrabhishekam. Praise Lord Shiva. Right? So, Rudra chant, all those stuff is good for you. Eighth house, worst. Your Manglik also. So, praise Lord Shiva every day. So, chant Mars mantra every day. At least that is going to give you some benefit. At least see, if Mars is not good for you, some person has Mars in 8th house. Even though you're not doing any remedies for Mars, at least check other planets. Which planet has a lot of strength in your horoscope? Right? Which planet has more strength in your horoscope? Check that one. Try to increase the strength of that planet. Let us say Jupiter is very good in your horoscope, and just give lot of importance to Jupiter. Leave Mars. Only do Rudrabhishekam, and so that you are doing some remedy for Mars, and try to improve the strength of Jupiter. That's good for you. And now Mars is in 9th house. Excellent. Lands and properties, enjoyment, everything very good. Excellent. Enjoy. Without any malefic aspects, I'm telling you, right? Any house, anything good can happen only without any malefic aspect. At 10th house, good for you, lands and properties. Again, you have Manglik. Marry another Manglik. 11th house, very good, excellent, enjoy. 12th house, very bad, worst, urinary diseases, all those, theft and, right, loss of properties, all those. But at least house of pleasure, it's bed of pleasures, so at least you may gain something there. At the same time, your Manglik, marry another Manglik. That's what we can say about all this stuff, right? So that is Mars. Mars is anger, Mars is sexual drive, Mars is real estate, your property, your land, your vehicles, right? Mars is your courage, anger, your action. So that is Mars. Fine. Thank you. We'll try to talk about Mars. So now we talked about Mars only. In the next video, I'll try to talk about Mars with respect to different ascendants. With respect to different ascendants. For which ascendant Mars is really going to do a lot of great things. That also we'll try to discuss in our next video. Thank you.